Pretty cool, eh? Well, yeah. Righto, so who doesn't know how to recognise someone pinging off their dial on meth? Put your hand up. You know who, bro. You look filthy as. I'll bring you down here as an example. I red light you straight out there. What's that hand, dude? I'll use you for the rest of my example. Well, ask again. Who doesn't know what meth? How to tell a person on meth? Seriously. Who doesn't know how to tell a person on meth, on the gear, methamphetamines? Okay. What about heroin? Yeah, we all wet behind the ears. You don't know. You don't know that clean. You're a pothead, are you? Meth. And you ain't seen someone on the hammer? Or you just playing with me, taking piss out of me? Not. So back in the day they used to have speed, which is just like speed just keeps you awake all night, helps you achieve a great deal. And you think as long as you're on it you can actually build a business and come up with these incredible things and making a kickstart and a quick earn, and you get ahead a long way and all that sort of stuff. But then when meth come out, meth is like rock, they smoke it, they stick it in a thing, break a light bulb off, they smoke it, me I used to up. But the difference between meth and amphetamines is meth, it actually sends you all loopy. It plays with your brain, it flips a switch in your head and it makes you think things, and you start thinking people are following you and all this sort of stuff, and it starts sending you loopy. And you can see a ping and they're like this, and there's just like everybody in the hand signal, and some pull the hand signals, you pull people out of cars and you tell out all these way out conversations, and you just think everybody's up to something. You'll get in your car and you'll pull your car into little tiny pieces thinking there's microphones behind everything. My poor wife's car, I stripped it to pieces 1,000 times over. And they think people are following them, they start hearing voices. I spent 3 days once in the roof cavity of a house thinking someone was downstairs and there was no one there. I think it was a cat scratching to get out. But different drugs have different effects. Heroin is just slow. You can just sit there and you pick at a skin and you pick at sores that aren't there and all that sort of stuff. And coneheads, you just sit back and you stay and you can just say, yeah, bro, and you just talk really slow. Methamphetamines will speed you up and you have all these way out conversations, and then the hammer just slows you right down and you're just sort of on the nod like that, and you're just always walking around like that. You know, and so each drug has a different effect. Methamphetamines, honestly, I've been addicted to all the drugs except for the hammer. When I took off from Kalgoorlie, when I used to live here, I was up to no good here, and I took it away to South Australia, and then I had a hammer over there and it knocked me out cold, and I woke up, I think 48 hours later. I was lucky I actually woke up. And yeah, I'm one that goes fast, but each drug has a different effect on a person. Not only does it have an effect on a person, it actually changes the way the person's hard drive or the way they're wired on the inside. And often your loved one will tell you, all I'm doing is smoking pot. You can't believe that person. If that's what they said, just whatever you do, don't believe them. Best way to do it is evidence. If you have a sense that they're on any drugs or any substances in any way, shape or form, please don't take their word for granted. Especially if you're on meth, you can't believe a word they say. They lie to you, they'll tell you whatever you want to hear to get what they want. If you have the slightest inkling they're on any, piss test them. There's one there that's 80 or 60 bucks that tests for 5 drugs. There's another one there that tests for 8 drugs. If you want to be right on the mark, get a blood test, but it costs for a blood test. This one, the normal drug alert one, you can get from a chemist. You can also get one for nicotine smoking. I don't let my fellas smoke in my house, and I've got this nicotine test kit. And I just get in the squirt and I put 3 drops in there, and positive, negative. You come out negative, you're out of here. Pretty good, eh?
Excuse me, could I just ask what hammer is?
Huh? Hammer. Hammer, heroin. Heroin. So we got different nicknames: crack, ice, meth, whipper, speed, hammer. Hammer's like we call it hammer or heroin. And what they do is they go on the nod. A lot of them, what they do, the government, they actually take them off an illegal drug and they chain them to a chemist where they have to go to the chemist every day to get the methadone to get their legal fix. And as long as they can give them their legal fix, they're not a problem to society. They're a registered addict, and the government just legally just fills them full of drugs that shuts them up and protects you, the community, so they're not a bother to the community. I wonder what they're going to come up with methamphetamines. They're going to come up with the same stupid thing. And then they're going to chain all the addicts to chemists and it's going to make them worse and try and science the problem to keep you, the general public, happy. Or maybe we'll just fill them full of ADHD drugs and we'll give them Ritalin and dexamphetamines. That might shut a lot of people up too. Or maybe we'll just teach them to deal with all their problems with chemicals and substances instead of actually dealing with the issues at the brain and a lot of it does my head in. What do you expect? Changes, skin, picking, erratic behaviour. So yeah, you see when they go from the A to the B, you can see when an A goes to a B. I'm just touching on a lot of the topics that I missed out on and just dotting the I's, crossing the T's. You can see an A from an A and a B. The A is the person that first believed a lie is a truth, that lie becomes their truth. And then a B is 2 weeks later where all of a sudden that lie, it's okay, I'm not hurting anybody. Every single one of you, when you first had your drink of alcohol, or you had your cone, or you had your chemical or your substance, you would have had a voice. One voice says, don't do it. One voice says, it's okay. You would have had a choice yourself, and you would have made that choice. It's okay. You tried it, you felt the chemical for a release, and you would have had an inner prompting on the inside of you a week later that said, hey, don't do it. And another voice would have said, it's okay, you're not going to hurt anybody, or you're not hurting anybody. Your brain would have processed it, and the second you say, yeah, that's right, you've opened a door into your heart, and that lie from here to here. If a person believes a lie as a truth, that lie becomes their truth. You're being programmed. As we live life, it's really important what we allow into here. And the further you go into addiction, the chemicals and the substances, depending on what it is you've gone through, especially if you've been sexually abused and raped and beaten and flogged and a whole heap of stuff, or you've done things you're ashamed of that you can't tell anybody, the easiest way to hide that is to put a chemical over the top of it, because at least you can hold your head up high. A lot of the thoughts that you get in your mind, they're not actually your thoughts, they're introduced thoughts. And it's like a woodpecker, the D, and the L, and what the D, you'll get a lot of thoughts that you won't get, because the D knows what's in your heart, and he knows what thoughts to put in your head to get your head and your heart to connect, to get you headed in the direction that he wants you to head, to produce the fruit that he wants you to produce. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whoever this dude is wiring me up with this fluffy thing. There we are. I'll just fix your problem, you owe me one. So the thoughts that you get is different, because your heart is different. You've done stuff that you haven't told anybody. And like a lot of you in here, you've done a lot of stuff that you haven't told anybody, but the thoughts that you get is different than thoughts you would get, because stuff that he hasn't done. And the D wants to get in you to produce a fruit in you, same as the L. We are all being programmed. Now, depending on the chemical or the substance, depending on how it outworks in their life, and a parent, when they're looking on and they can see a person, they can see their thinking starts to change. They can see their speech starts to change. Who here has seen their loved one as they went past that down of addiction, they could tangibly see changes? I want to see hands. Put your hand up. And you would have got promptings. There's nearly every one of you. You would have got promptings. You can see them starting to change. Hang on, this isn't the boy that I brought up. You can see rebellion. You can see there's something happening behind the scenes. And depend on how you've been as a parent is depending on whether you've positioned yourself in their life in the way that they need you to, or in the way that they want you to. And it's really important to understand, if they've taken the right for you to speak into their life off of you, the less you say is the more you say. Because if you keep trying to speak into their life when they said, hey, no more, what you're doing is you're pushing them away from you rather than them bringing them to you. You're positioning yourself in their life in the way that they run from you and then run to you. It's really important, especially in the foundation that you is bringing your child up, that you have that relationship with that child, that they can come with you and unpack that stuff. That's why it's really important for us as parents to lead by example, to lead by example, to lead by example. When you make a mistake, hold your head up high, tell the truth and stare the consequences of your actions in the face. And that's all I do, is teach my men. I lead by example. Enabling is something where if a person, you can see the warning signs going. If I was to say to my son 3 times, don't touch this hot plate, if you touch this hot plate, son, there's a consequence. No, you're not supposed to do it. And he, this whatever they call this thing with jiggy. Hoodoo gras. Don't touch this hoodoo gras. And then all of a sudden, and he touches the hoodoo gras, I'll tell him off and I say, son, I told you not to touch the hoodoo gras. Didn't I? He goes, yes, Dad. And I said, well, if you touch this hoodoo gras again, son, if you touch the hoodoo gras again, there's going to be a consequence. And the consequence is this. Do you understand? Yes, Dad. That's the second time. So I put it, and I walk away, and then 1, 2, 3 weeks later, all of a sudden, my son, he goes and touches the hoodoo gras. Second time. And I said, son, didn't I tell you the first time not to touch the hoodoo gras? This is the second time. Yes, you did, Dad. I would look at the circumstances facing the second time, and depending on the second time, would be depending on how I would deal with it. But I would warn my son, I told you I don't want you smoking pot or cannabis in my house in any way, shape or form. If you do, this is not the place for you here any longer. I'm warning you. Drugs or substances in my house at all, in any way, shape or form. Do you understand? Yes, Dad. And then I put it there. We're on the same page. I've warned my son. Now, all of a sudden, it's the third time. 3 times I come up to my son, all of a sudden I found out he's touched the hoodoo gras. I'm sorry, son. I love you, son. I care about you, son. But this is my home. Me and your mum, we pay the mortgage here. We put food on the table. I've made it clear to you each one of these 3 times, and now this is the 3rd time. I'm sorry, son, you need to leave the home. Once a boy gets over the age of 17, 16, he is responsible for his actions. You can tell clearly taking the right for you to speak into his life. You must ask him to leave the home. You must kick him out. You must hand him over to the consequences of his choices. One boy says, don't. But I can't, he's my son. One boy says, but I know that I have to. But the other one, but I can't, he's my son. The one that says kick him out of the house will speed up the process of him coming to the place where he needs to. When he does move out of the home, yes, well, he will go in self-destruct mode. But the longer you keep him in the home, the bigger the finale it's going to get, where you have no choice but to exit him from the house. You do it when you can, not when you have to. Do it when you have a choice. Don't do it when you don't have a choice. When you don't have a choice, a lot of people get hurt. There's wisdom inside you. You should be listening to that wisdom. Bring up a child in the way that it goes. 3rd time you kick him out, but you don't give up on him. You say, I'm sorry, son, this is the house. We can't have that here. And you kick him out on the street. But I've got nowhere to go. I'm sorry, son. And you've got to let him know you're serious. As much as it is that hurts you, it is the best thing that you've ever done for your child. Let him go on self-destruct mode. Let him couch surf for a while. Get together in memorandum understanding. Prepare yourself. What are the places equipped? What is the drug that you're dealing with? Get yourself prepared so when he does come back to you, you are prepared. You have boundaries in place. If you want to come back into my house, son, we would love to have you here, but you need to. It's a memorandum of understanding. Never give up on your child. Love them, care for them, set your boundaries. They are grown men now. Please treat them as such. Do you understand? And that helps to bring a person to a point of wanting to make a decision to change. Different chemicals, different substances have different effects on a person. Methamphetamines, again, is the most evilest drug to hit the face of this planet. It is evil. It is really, really evil. And as you put this process in place, you're speeding up the process. But as you kick him out, you really should get all the other family members all on the same page, come together as a group, because what happens is he will try to go to one of those other family members, ask them to come together, please support me in the decision I make. This is my son. Often what happens, he'll go to his sister or his grandma or your sister or your uncle or his aunt. Get everyone you know that he would run to and get you all on the same page and nominate one team leader to call the shots. And it will speed up the process for him to coming to the end of himself really, really quick. And come together as a group and bring the truth in love. Don't condemn him, don't judge him. If you want to use drugs, if you want to use chemicals, if you want to use substances, this is the consequence of your actions. Don't yell at him, don't scream at him, but just continue to love on him. And you'll find that when the cookies crumble, always speak kindly. You drink your alcohol, he's choosing his drinks and drugs. It's his choice. And as he starts to suffer the consequences of his actions, he'll find that he will get to the end of himself a lot quicker. But a lot of families are no better than the drug addict selling them the drugs, because they spare that person from the consequence of their choices. And then when they live in that state over a long period of time, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they've formulated patterns of behaviour, ways to communicate, ways to express how they feel. They've set boundaries in their life, and they've stayed into a place of addiction a lot longer than they should have because of you. Because of you not listening to that voice telling you right at the beginning, I should have kicked them home. I should have kicked them home. But you didn't listen. And you have been a major part of the problem. And that's not okay. You think you're doing the right thing, but in fact you've done the wrong thing. You might as well have gone and scored the drugs, got a nice long big recliner, put a fan on his head, filled a syringe and just stuck it in his arm. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's all you've done. You've provided a safe place for him to do what he shouldn't. And drug addicts, we like to go to have that safe place. We like to go out on a binge, and then we like to go back to mums or dads or brothers or sisters or grandmas or grandpas to that safe place where we know we can sleep for 4 days, 5 days without someone going through our pockets, without someone stealing our cash, ripping the rings of our fingers or the chains of our neck. Mum and dads and families is a safe place to rest and recuperate, so we can go back for another lap around the paddock. If you take away the safe place, you take away the enablers, you take away a major part of the problem. Now, if you ever want help from me, do not call on an addict's behalf. Please do not ring me. You can ring me and say, hey, my son is caught up in addiction. Can you tell me about your services? And yeah, I'll say, yeah, not a problem. But if you ring me trying to get your son into my rehab, I'll rip your bloody head off. Straight out, I'll rip into you. I mean, unless I'll say, is their head chopped off? What? I say, is their head chopped off? No. Or what about their arms? Have they got arms? Yeah. Well, the fingers work, yes. Well, what the bloody hell are you doing on the phone then? They're not a cripple, they're an addict. It's truth. I get lots of parents trying to ring me up, and some of them don't listen. Doesn't matter. I've got 2 phones hung around my neck, and they don't ring. They don't stop ringing in 24 hours a day. You know, and mums, some of you mums need a good powder makeup. Is that powder makeup good? I said at this thing recently, I said, you blokes, you better man up, and you women, you better put a pot on the stove. Boy, you should have seen the look I got. Don't believe a word that they say. Honestly, don't believe a word that they say. If someone wants help when they ring you, tell them to ring me. You can ring me, you can ask me about my services, but everything you need to know is on our website, literally everything. There's nothing not on there. You can do the research as a parent. Where do you send them? Get a whole list of rehabilitation numbers. We have a list that we give out, and Melena will give you out, wherever she is. But don't ring to get them into my rehab. They need to be the ones that ring. And when they ring me, if they're ringing me from your house, I say, where are you? Well, I'm at Mum's. Well, mate, Mum, you look out. Because you get me on the phone, you're going to be in trouble. I want them out on the street. I want them at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. I want them at the bottom. I want them at the bottom. I don't want them ringing from Mum's house. I don't want them ringing from Mum's phone. I'm just going to hang up on you and I'm going to block your number. I do. You try. You ring me. See what you cop. I make no apologies for it. And the reason I do it is because I care. Now, what you got to understand also, you are not to blame. You are not to blame my mum and my dad. If my mum and my dad are watching or listening right now, I love you, Mum. I love you, Dad. You are not to blame for how I was like I was. I faced circumstances that I didn't create. I did make choices, but through the circumstances that I faced, I was the one that made the decisions that determined the direction of my life. Yes, I did face bad circumstances. Yes, I did face things that some little kid shouldn't face, but I was the one that chose how to handle it, and I have nobody else to blame except for myself. I take full responsibility for the decisions I make, and I will not live life a victim. Yes, I have been sexually abused by a man. Yes, I have been through lots of stuff, but I forgive him. I forgive him completely and totally for what he's done. I will not live life a victim. I mean, I am where I am because of my choices. Holding on to unforgiveness is like swallowing rat poison and expecting the other person to die. Don't be angry at the person. Please don't be angry at the person. They are doing what they're doing because they enjoy doing what they're doing. You are smoking your cigarettes at the age of 70 because you enjoy smoking your cigarettes. You are slowly killing yourself. They are slowly killing themselves because they enjoy it. They should be angry at you because every time they suck face with you that you stink of nicotine. Well, no difference. Drug is drug. Who are you to categorise? Don't take them from a legal drug to a legal drug. I don't agree with detoxing a person, taking a person off an illegal substance to putting on a legal substance. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the taking them off of speed and heroin and all this stuff and training them to chemists and methadones and all this sort of stuff. I don't agree with legalising marijuana and all these other and decriminalising. That's a whole load of hoggly pop. That's a whole load of hoggly. I don't agree. Us, we're a cold turkey detox facility. You want to stick drugs and substances in your arm when you come into my place, you will detox. You will feel sick, you will sweat, you will shake. You might not get a decent night's sleep for 4 weeks. Suck it up, princess. That's what happens when you stick chemicals and substances in your arm. It's going to take a while to get back to a normal place standards of sleep. And you'll get 2 nights sleep, 2 hours sleep after probably a week, and then 3, and then 4, and then one day you have 8 hours. You go, oh my God, that was hard. But you've got to go through the tunnel to get to the light. You can't expect one day that you're just going to wake up, and just because you decide to change, the world is your oyster and everyone needs to bow down before you and make your path straight. It took me 15 years of stupid choices, sticking picks and arms, breaking houses, stealing cars, then all of a sudden I got nuked. And man, I'm telling you, when I got nuked, I had the ground moved and a whole heap of freaky stuff happened, and when she's seen how I got nuked, I got nuked. I'm going to be sharing how I got nuked tomorrow if you want to come and listen to how I got actually nuked. But when I got nuked, everything that was acceptable to me, if I wanted something, I took it. I was pretty good at nearly everything I put my hand to, and then I get nuked, and everything that was acceptable to me, there was a process that I had to go through to all of a sudden swap from this way of doing things to this way of doing things. And it didn't happen overnight. It was something that actually had to be outworked over a long period of time. It took me, for example, 3 years of doing normal stuff, and all of a sudden they run out that blooming DNA data test. I was one of the first 10 they ran off that DNA blood test thing when they'd done the swabs in the jails back in the day. I was one of the first 10 to be charged, and they got a heap with a whole heap of frauds and a whole heap of burgs and a whole heap of all this stuff from dating back 15 years back. Like, truth. And they're bloody smart, that DNA stuff. And I was a geek for like 3 years. And all of a sudden now I'm standing in court on 26 charges and had all these cop shops looking for me. So I had to stand in front of yes, no, guilty, for like 45 minutes. That was 3 years after making right choices. I got off with a good behaviour bond. Even Hep C, I had Hep C, genotype 1, worst strain, you had 5 strains. It took me right up until the last treatment last year to get rid of my Hep C. 10 years after your last criminal record, you can apply to get your record spent. I've got a criminal record longer than most people you'll ever meet. I had to wait 15 years. I had to go before a district judge and a panel because I got everything on there, firearms, intent to sell and supply, and lawful burning animals, and a whole heap of stuff. I had to go through a district court judge to get there and stand there and get these people to decide, hey, should we declare this man's record spent or not? A year and a half ago, I stood before that magistrate. They brought down that hammer and they declared me to be clean. It took me 15 years of making right choices. 15 years. But over those 15 years, even though I started making right choices, I'm slapped in the back of the head, slapped in the back of the head, slapped in the back of the head. I kept trying, and yet my past kept smacking me in the back of the head, smacking me in the back of the head. It doesn't matter, I just held my head up high, I stared the world straight in the face, and I told the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and through every consequence I faced, I learnt. Rejoice in the times of trials and tribulations. It's when everything that comes at you is crap. When everything bad comes your way, it's where you make a right choice. It determines whether you change or stay the same. I love bad days. It teaches me, it grows me, it equips me, it empowers me. Trials and tribulations strengthen us. It's making a right choice when everything in you wants to make a wrong choice. 15 years. Now, I'm actually applying to be a justice of the peace, and it looks like they might actually pass it. Isn't that funny? I had an interview last week with a dude. I had to go in with a judge and sit in the courtroom in the back, in his back alleyways, ironing his shirt, doing my thing for my justice of the peace application. Pete, justice of the peace. There's a crack up. Things the addict might say. When you're trying to get a hold of me, they're going to say, well, I don't have access to a computer. I need help, but I can't get to a computer. They'll tell you, but he hasn't got access to a computer, he hasn't got a phone. Oh, you buffhead. If he wants to get on, he'll get $100 to score and get an 8 packet. I mean, he can get 40 cents to make a phone call and go to the local library. Hang up on him. I can't read, he says. Well, I can't read. Me, I went to 16 different schools. And in grade 6, I can't even read Run. I read the first chapter, and then by the time I get to the second chapter, I can't remember the first chapter, so I throw it aside and I think, I can't read. It's just, I'm lazy, that's all it is. Read. If you want to change life, learn. I'm pretty sure you can read. Get someone to sit there and read it for you. Don't read it for him. You've got to put the ball in his court. You've got to bring a person to the end of themselves, that they're out in the paddock, at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, where their brain of their own accord starts spinning. Hey, bro, I can't do this anymore. I want to change. And where their brain of their own accord, not your blooming brain, not your brain. You shut your brain up. You shut your mouth up. But their brain of their own accord is thinking, I can't do this anymore. When it goes like that and they ring up Mum, she says, no, I'm sorry, I love you, son. I'm not qualified to help you, but these people are sending texts. Dad, same thing. Grandma, and everyone said the same, and all of a sudden something happened. And when they pick the phone up and they ring me up, hey, bro, man, I'm serious. I can't do this anymore. I want to change. That thought goes from the head, it lands into the heart. Oh, brother, I can water that seed. I can make that seed grow into a man of integrity. I can bring life into that seed. I need that seed in a person, but I need your help to put that seed in there. But a lot of you are working against me. A lot of you are making it hard. A lot of you are keeping them trapped in a place of addiction and need a bloody good slap upside the ears. And if I was I'll tell you what, some of you need rehab. Straight out. Right, that's the cleaning up. They're happy. Are you happy, my dot-ticking wife? I love my wife. She does. She makes that flutter. Rightio, so we're going to flap at the gums. Shalom House, 120 men. We started by accident. Let me clear something up from the beginning, right? I don't run a rehab. For everybody who's listening by Facebook Live, hi. I don't run a rehab. I disciple people. I disciple people. That's all I do. I come alongside people, helping people to make right choices. If I was to say to you, I'm going to put a rehab next door to you, oh, look out, you're not having a rehab next to me, and there's going to be big Evangelique Panners, and there's going to be ABC Channel tonight, Tate tonight, rehab going next door to this man. But if I was going to say I'm going to run a discipleship next to your house, oh yeah, tell me about it, bro. I honestly started a discipleship house. I called it Shalom Discipleship House. The word shalom, right? Let me tell you what the word shalom, when I got nuked, and my God, I got nuked. When I got nuked, I ran into this old dude who was sitting at the caravan park along the beach out in the Yanchit way, and he was a really old fella, and he looked like you. But you're not really old. But he looked like a bit like Colonel Sanders with his goggles on. And he was sitting by this caravan, and it had the word shalom. I said, hey, bro, what's that mean? And that was back in the day when I was picking off a dial. And he goes, it means peace. Oh, yeah? And it means peace. It means love. It means honesty, integrity. It means truth. It means transparency. It means accountability. It means the fullness of everything that is beautiful and good. It means family. It means love in its purest form. It means compassion. So, I like that word. And he goes, yeah, shalom. Oh, yeah, shalom. So that's why I called it shalom. I'm not a religious nut. I just love the word, shalom. The fullness of everything is good. I aspire. Every day I aspire. I aim to be the best me every day. I just aim to be the best me. I just want to be a good person. I used to hate myself with a passion. Even now I still struggle to accept myself. I want to be the best me. I want to make sure that my life matters. A lot of people don't want to be who they are, but what they don't realise is what's in them is operating through them. And unless you bring it out of them, it'll continue to operate through them, and they're still in prison even though they're not in prison. Like I did lots of men's camps. My last camp was in July. I took 220 men on a camp. And I called the camp Get a Life Weekend, real bloke stories. Put your crap on the table. We've got another one coming up in November. I took 220 men away and I brought them home. I'll tell you what, they weren't the same. Their wives' truth did they had to put some crap on the table when they got home. And I stirred the nest just like sticking a stick in a beehive. Yeah, it was funny. Kept my counsellors and my counsellors staying busy for a few weeks. A lot of you fellas have done stuff you're ashamed of, you've never told your wife. But what you don't realise, it actually works at the intimacy level. There's sin in your life, there's crap in you. A lot of you blokes have done porn, you're doing stuff behind the scenes. A lot of you have been unfaithful to your wives. A lot of you have done stuff you've never told anybody. What you don't realise, it's still in you. Unless you get it out of you, it continues to operate through you. November, we've got another camp. We're taking 400 plus men. 100 men down to a camp. No religion, no proselytising, none of that crap. We're just going to have real blokes, real stories. We have 5 fellas like myself. We get up and we just go where never gone before. And we put our crap on the table. And I guarantee you're going to come home the same. Not the same, you're going to come home different. And we teach you how to get the crap out of you. But again, that was a left turn, Clive. Don't know where that come from. Rightio. Over to Shalom. We have 120 men in there. Didn't start by purpose. It started by accident. I don't run a rehabilitation centre. I run a discipleship. Discipleship is coming alongside somebody, helping somebody to see what they can't see. Sometimes it takes a person on the outside of the circle to show the person on the inside what it is they can't see. But how I communicate to you is different. How I communicate to you is different. How I communicate to you. Because we don't have one program. Currently we have 120 programs who have all been programmed differently. If I come up to you like this and body language like that, for you, you might have been beaten and bashed, and all of a sudden what's in you, this guard comes up, this fear, because what's in you is still operating through you. So for you, I need to communicate this way. For you, I need to communicate, hey, I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Please, I'm not trying to tear you down, and I really do care about you, bro, but you're a bit of a prick. But you're not a bit of a prick. But you can see it in my words. It's learning to bring the truth in love. What is really real for one person, if it's real for him, it needs to be real for me. What is real for your son is, if it's real for him, it must be real for you, because a D has whispered a lie to his brain that's got into his heart, and if a person believes a lie is a truth, and sometimes your son or your daughter has tried to come up to express how you feel, but you've taken it as an attack, and he says, well, stuff you, what's the use? And there's times where you've gone up to your loved one, tried to express how you feel, and they've taken it out, what's the use? So division, where does that come from? Not the L, but the D. Oh, truth, it's like a mind. You should try navigating all this stuff. So Shalom, I'm just going to give you a quick picture show. This thing here, can you see my autograph? This is actually one house. We first started off next to Banyat Women's Prison. 7 fellas in there. And when I called it Shalom Discipleship House. And I argued the point for a year. Everyone kept saying, no, it's a rehabilitation centre. No, it's a discipleship house. And they said, no, it's discipleship. In the end, I just got one of these, a flag, and said, okay, I'll run a rehab. But it's not, it's actually a discipleship house, but it's a rehab. But the thing is, now everyone's calling it a rehab. I've got every group under the sun saying, you can't have a rehab in my area. All I'm doing is running a discipleship house. It's amazing how much can come with one word. So we started next to Banyat Women's Prison with 7 fellas, and then we discipled 7 fellas to a certain point, and then we needed to actually give them practice, put them in practice. I'll run you through the building and then I'll show you how it unfolded. So this is actually 3 houses, this place here. This is our main house. This part here holds 10 fellas. This one here has 8 fellas, and this one in there has another 10 fellas. This house was built by a fellow who built Buccaneer Pools. That's it from the back. This is here was his son and his wife and his kids. Here was Dad and Ma, and here was his daughter and a husband. What sort of man would do that? It's a cultural thing. You put all the family. You got a big problem to have everyone in one place. And they've got the kids in there, and they had the maid down there and the gardener down there. Sounds like a good picture. Yeah, family. This is the house. Looks like house 1. That's this one here is the first house. One was on the right. This is what the lounge room looks like. Now you might be impressed by the look of this photo, but all my houses across all my properties, I have a really high standard. I spent most of my life standby door, cell inspection, no talking, shirt tucked in, IDs to the front, look straight ahead. I actually made my sons do that until the age of 13. I did. I get up in the morning, "Way doors!" My boys, Pete and Ryan, used to stand there in the corridor as they're going up for cell inspection. I go in the room and check the rooms out, make sure the room was clean. Well, I had it for most of my life, why not them? One day, one of my mates' 3 daughters stayed over, and I was in a bit of a bad mood, got up one morning, said, "Rightio, boy your doors, room inspection." So my 2 sons stood there, and had 3 girls, and had five of these little kids stood up by the corridor. And I went in and inspected the rooms. "Righto, stand down." I thought it was funny. This is the house 2, the middle house, and this is the house 3, the end house. All of our houses have a clean standard. When you have 120 men living together, of all different cultures, of all different backgrounds, of all different standards, we have some with a really, really high standard. We've got to bring them down to a middle standard. We have some with a really, really low standard. We'll bring them up to a middle standard. There's a middle standard, you know, and what needs to be real for the next person. But we bring everybody to a middle standard, and this is a middle standard. 2 to a room, 2 out. Now, this is the kitchen on house 2. This is the balcony. This is a couple of our buses. The fleet's changed. We actually have that's changed out to a 57-seater. We have a couple of these 22-seaters, one of these, 3 utes, and we have 3 of these trucks or 4 of these trucks. Now these trucks have had to set up a series of businesses, or one business in particular, to try and create income to make the place self-sustainable. And I'll show you how all the finances side of things works. That one I showed you before was the Softscapes truck. This one here is the truck. So this one does all the building and tiling and painting and carpentry. And this is our second house. That's the entrance there. One house on this side, one house on that side. This house holds 26 fellas. I told you before, holds 36 fellas. Pretty flash, eh? You can see at the back there, most of the properties are all on acreage. One's 10 acres, one's 15 acres. My place is 10 acres, and we've just taken over Jerry Hanson's Oasis resort, enough to actually rent me, and that was about 8 weeks ago, and that's nearly 50 fellas, and that's full. I'm about to get another. I'm in a bit of a pickle. 2 to a room. That's the view out of the back of the room. Again, the house. This is the office. You can see that good-looking fella right there with a shiny head. Don't look at the size of his belly, but that's me. This is when we first moved in the office. We've been in our office since October, and we've doubled in size since October. My office is now full. I'm in a bit of a pickle. I'm expanding in all areas, including my waistline. We are actually in a bit of a pickle. It's growing and it's growing and it's continually growing and it's growing and it's growing. So I'm going to show you how it actually works. Rightio. Who wasn't here at the first session? Put your hand up. So on the first session, we missed a fair bit. But you should be able to streamline it live off the Facebook Live. Now, when I got the house next to the prison, I didn't ask to start a rehab, a discipleship house. It actually started by accident. Now, when I got nuked in 2011, I was doing 2.5 kilos a day, selling an average of 20 handguns a week, a whole heap of stupid stuff. I got up one morning, a mate crashed, pulls in the driveway, a helicopter come over the roof. He got done with an ounce of rock and a 22 and a whole heap of cash. I got done with a couple of handguns, a pound of pot, and a whole heap of other stuff. And then a whole heap of freaky stuff happened. I got out on bail, and them days I was under really heavy surveillance. And then a whole heap of freaky stuff happened over a period of 2 or 3 days where I got led over Perth, offering me everything I ever wanted, ended up getting brought to my knees. To cut a long story short, I got put back into prison. I swapped my dodgy lawyer for a legit lawyer and gave away everything that I owned. Got out and I went and studied at Bible college for 3 years. Studied full-time and done an advanced diploma in theology. Finished Bible college in 2004. After I finished Bible college, I became a volunteer prison chaplain at Acacia Prison. Why I started a business while I was at Bible college, law mowing around. And so I've been mowing laws and a volunteer chaplain at Acacia Prison. Acacia Prison is an ecumenical prison, so it caters for people of all faiths. I was a volunteer prisoner at Acacia Prison for just on 5 years. I remember the first time I walked into the place, and all the fellas in there say, "Hey, Lyndon James, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I got the keys, brother." A couple of fellas in there to crack it up. Well, I'm not a turnkey, but the fellas, I told that to the fellas in the jail yesterday. I felt so at home yesterday in that jail it wasn't funny. I mean, they're my family. I mean, a lot of us stuck in jail, we don't want to be who we are. But it's not as easy as just saying stop using drugs, and people don't understand. And the wheat's getting caught up with the chaff. And I was volunteer prison chaplain for 5 years. I finished at the prison in July in 2010. I became a full-time volunteer. And what I mean by full-time volunteer, I just shut my business down completely. And my wife said, "Okay, I'll work to support you." She went and started mowing lawns and doing commercial maintenance. And then I just worked for free, and I've been that way ever since. Now, I floated all over Perth and just looking how things done, but I kept getting blokes coming across my path saying, "Peter, help me change my life. Peter, help me change my life." And so what I do is I got the fellas, and I used to chuck them in a car and take them down to a mate, Jeff Walker, down in Mandurah. And I'd take him down to Jeff. One time I took him 10 fellas down in one hit in his bus. And then I'd take him to Fresh Start, and I'd take him to all these rehabs, and no matter what happened, blokes just kept coming to me and saying, "Peter, help me change my life." And then one day I'm driving past the prison, Benny Women's Prison. I've seen this house to the right, and it had a for sale sign on it, and I got a prompting to look. I only lived around the corner. I went and looked at this place. Had a big shed. I had some rooms there, and I thought, "Oh yeah, this would be right. I could probably use this as a discipleship house." I was debt-free at the time. I owned my own home. Through my working over the course of the 10 years, I bought my own home and paid off debt-free. I went into mortgage and bought this house, and me and my woman, and we started a discipleship house. And we slapped 7 of these fellas in this house, and we just come alongside them. And I thought it would be easiest just to stick it into a house and say this will be good and help them make right choices. No, no, it didn't work like that. I thought I could just do what I did, and then I had to learn in a workshop with a whole heap of welders, and I learned how to weld. I can do anything. I know that I can do anything. There's nothing is impossible. Persistence that leads to I can literally do anything. I'm not trying to blow wind out my back end, but that's a fact. I'll try anything, do anything. Not a problem. I had 7 fellas in there, and then I realised TV was working against me. Radio was working against me. Them having mobile phones was working against me. TV showing girls size 8, 36 double D with the tits hanging out as something nice and yummy. And I'm trying to teach these blokes to be looking at women and with respect, and all this stuff is just coming into their brains. So I had to take away the TV, I had to take away the radio, I had to take away the newspapers, I had to take away everything that wasn't family rated. And then these top knots and these blooming mohawks. I mean, top knots, you got to be kidding me. Mullets, not happening in my house. Mullet, you might as well put blanc on your head. I'm not having a mullet or a top knot in my house, straight out. We all project an image. We all project an image, and as soon as I look at you, my brain filters, draws to the hard drive of my heart. Man's. Not being rude to you, sweetie. We all project an image that people perceive, but we need to become all things to all men that all might accept us. And with a bloke with a mullet and a top knot at the back and all that, he projects an image that as soon as somebody sees, they've put walls up, and how they treat him is different. So the reason we shave all their heads is so we can teach them to be accepted no matter where we go. People look at them differently. They haven't judged them. Just by looking at them, you judge them. So we shave their heads. No mullets, no top knots. We have a rule in the house. What is relevant for one person is relevant for every person. Even if there's 20 people in the house and that rule's not relevant for the 20, when I get the one that it is, it's harder to implement it for 20 than it is for one, so we just keep it as the rule. So I had to put some rules in place, and I learned a lot of stuff. And no mobile phones, no TV, no radio, no whole heap of stuff, and only TV that's going to build you up and encourage you and put good principles in you: honesty, integrity, transparency. In that first 3 months when you first come in my house, I've got to learn out what's in you: unforgiveness, bitterness, resent you. Some of them have played with another boy's genitals growing up. Some have been sexually abused really badly. Some have been dumped by their dad and their dad just disappeared on them. Some grew up with no parents at all. Some grew up whose parents were junkies and actually started them off down that track. And I had to find out what's inside them. Not only did I have to find out what's inside them, I had to find out where's mum and dad. Sadly, mum and dad was like this. This is dad and dad's new woman. This is mum And mums knew, man. This is biological brothers and sisters. This is dad's mum and dad. This is mum's mum and dad. Depends on how long we've been together, is whether we've got to focus on this. So basically, we've just got to find out the family tree, but we've also got to find out where is it they've put all the damage. Who's suffering with what? Who are the immediate people within this circle? Normally there's just within this circle. We can't get to everybody, but there's some that we would call the main ones. We've also got to find out, okay bro, if you're like me, I've used that many false names over my life, it's not funny. I've got that many Telstra accounts and that many Baycorp accounts and that many bank accounts and that many Vita accounts and that many, I've got so much financial history behind me, it's not funny. So we find out where they stand financially. We get a copy of their Vita file or their Baycorp file. We find out where they are, every financial bill that we can actually track that's in their name. We want to find out who it is. Vita, Baycorp, Telstra, SEC, Western Power, Water Corp, whatever it is. Over here, general issues. Most of our fellows, if they're like me, didn't get a licence till they were 32, 34. I had an extraordinary licence for 4 years. Do they own a car? Don't they own a car? Where do they stand? And also, hey, what do you want to do with your life? Direction. So we don't have one program. We have 120 programs because we have 120 men who have all been programmed differently, who all think differently, act differently, speak differently. If I had one program and put all of you through the one program at the same time, 90% of the program is not relevant for you right there and right then because you think differently, you speak differently, you act differently, you can read, you can't read. You learn this way, you learn that way. One likes to read books, one doesn't like to read books. Some are grade 7, some are grade 9, some don't know how to do any of that stuff. If we put them all through the one program at the one time, it doesn't work. So you've got to stuff. It's like we talked before about community services and all these different departments. You've got to get them all in order. Have a look what departments, have a look at a holistic plan. Let them go through this department first, make sure that this department complements this department, and then hand over to this department, and make sure that all of them are on the same page, working together as a team. So that's what we do here, we work together as a team. We are a holistic rehabilitation centre that brings complete restoration, north, south, east and west, to the whole of the person, not half of the person. As I go through the program, I'm going to tell you about the program. A routine, out of bed. Must be out of bed by 6 in the morning. You have free time between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. We're expected to do your devos. I'm not a religious man, which I explained in the first session. I'm a Christian man. I have no right to push my faith down on anyone. I must live what I believe to the best of my ability, that my actions would speak louder than my words. But we have it out of bed 6:30, free time to 8, between 8 and 9 they do group devo, between time, and then from 9:30 to 5, Monday to Friday, everybody works in society. If you come into our house, it's a cold turkey detox. We give you no drugs, no nothing. You know what I mean? Even if you haven't slept all night, you're going to get on the end of the rake. I don't care if you go 2 miles an hour, you're going to work. The quicker we can get your body clock back to how it's supposed to be. So we work you from Monday to Friday, and by working at least it keeps your mind active and it helps you to sweat a bit and all that sort of stuff. And so we work Friday 9 to 5 for the duration of the program. Everybody works. For as long as you're in our program, you will never earn. You're not here to earn money. You're here to change your life. But we say to our fellas at the 3-month stage of the program, we will get you 2 days a week paid work with an employer on the same page as the rehab. 100% of the income that you earn in that paid work goes to you. We will never charge you ever anything more than $300 a week for the duration of the program. We will never charge more than $300. We work from Monday to Friday. Friday to Sunday, we actually go to 3 church services every weekend because I hate religion with a passion. Serious. I hate religion. I don't have one program, I have 120 programs. I have 120 men who program differently, who like it differently, speak differently, who act differently. And I hate religion. And I say if the Church of God was like Hungry Jack's, it'd be chockers. But how do you know which one's the right one? And a lot of people have been forced as a kid to go to church their whole life, and they get the age of 14 or 15 and they just see something and then they hear this voice, for if religion's like that, I want nothing to do with it. And they can feel it go to the heart, and that's it. Stuff that, I want nothing, religion. But what happens if the message that they have to proclaim is actually true? What happens if the message they have to proclaim is true? If a person believes a lie as a truth, that lie becomes their truth. That person has been caught in a bit of a snare. So we go to 3 church services every weekend, and the reason we do 3 church services is we try to show them that the body of Christ isn't like Hungry Jack's, it's different. Some like KFC, some like McDonald's, some like Chicken Treat, some like Rooster, some like Subways, and some like Nando's. Friday night we'll go to this Pentecostal church. And this Pentecostal church, they go, I'm telling you, they wave flags and they skip and dance, and I think, man, bro, get me out of here. Some of my fellas in my house, I got 120 fellas, and some of my fellas, they just get it in, they dance and they sing, and me, I'm hiding back over with these blokes. And if I can, I'll even go behind here. But some of my fellas actually really enjoy that church. For me, it's not me. I don't want to be pushing my fellas towards religion. I want to give them a choice. Some like Saturday nights we go to this other church. They call it Riverview Church. The church for people who don't like church, a blooming big church. 5,000 people over the course of the weekend. It's a blooming big church. I spent 15 years going to that church. But you walk into that church, and the second you walk in, no one's going to jump on your head and stick a Jesus flag on your head. No one's going to say, oh, it's a new person in church. Finally, we've got somebody in here. And everybody's going to shake your hand. It's like getting mobbed. Someone to give me some space. I need to breathe. You get left alone. You can just walk into a church and you can just relax. You can just be left alone. You can sit in the back of the service and you can hear the music and you can hear the preacher preach, and you can go there for 1 year and 2 years and 3 years, and you just sit down and chill out, and you can just slowly discover faith in a way that's not pressured or pushed on you. But the problem is, all of us, Christians included, Christianese ones included, they're all trying to communicate what they know to be true in the best way that they know how, but they don't understand that more often than not, they're doing more harm than good, because a lot of people have been hurt by religion. A lot of people had it jammed down their throat, or they've had it communicated by somebody else that didn't actually live what they believe. Oh my God, it does my head in. Riverview Church, a church where people are like a really big church. It's my home church. A lot of wounded Christians go there. They go at the back, they sit there at the back there, and they just chill for a while. And then they filter back out to the small ones again later on. And then on the Sundays, we go to these other churches. Because we have fellas from all over Perth, now all over Australia. And we go to Kelmscott, Armidale, Girraween, Murrubuka, Eden Hill, Lockridge, Catholic, Anglican, Baptist, Pentecostal, Charismatic, Church of Christ, Seventh-day Adventist. Get my drift? If the Church of God was like Hungry Jack's, it'd be chockers. How do I know which one's the right one? What happens if I get caught in a cold? If the message they proclaim has to be true, how do we communicate what we know to be true without pushing religion down someone's throat? Just live your faith. The sad part is, most people don't even want to know about faith or religion. At the bottom, and then they chuck this prayer out, hey God, if you're real, I need your help, and all of a sudden something happens and your feet on solid ground, and then you just go like a dog to the vomit and pick it up and forget you prayed the prayer. Some of my fellas, right, they hear this voice, this mob here, no, if that, I want nothing to do with it, so they put the whole church in the one box. And even the Christianese ones, or the Christian ones, going around talking about and the crack of the bracket and these different mobs. And all these Christianese mobs and these Christians are going around speaking about all these different denominations, sowing division and bringing judgment upon all these different churches, the way they do stuff. No, not okay. Just because it doesn't suit you, you don't go stabbing it in the back. I got 127 men. Some belong in this one. Some belong in this one. Some belong in this one. It is a body. There's a foot, there's an arm, there's a leg, there's a head, there's a toe. Come on. Oh, my God. Does my head in. Most people think in their brains what I say with my mouth. I really don't care if you like me in any way, shape or form. I don't care if anybody likes me. I really don't care. I don't care what you think of me in any way, shape or form. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I don't lie. I don't lie. But I do care what God thinks of me. One day I'm going to get on my knees. I'm going to stand before him. And I'm just going to truth. Mate, I tried my best. Did I stuff it up? Yes, truth I did. I do it every day. It's bloody hard to be a Christian. I'm a geek. I'm a normal, productive member of society. Do I geek? Come on, somebody please say yes. Make me feel good. I'm trying my best. So what we do is with these fellas here, we try to show them that the body of Christ worships differently. We don't push them towards one particular denomination. We go to all these different mobs, and we just hope that when they leave, they just pick one that they want to go to. If you're an atheist, you're welcome into Shalom. If you're a Buddhist, you're welcome. If you're a Hindu or an what, I don't care. Chinese, Japanese, Dirtinese, what are these? Oh, hang on a second, I shouldn't have said that bit. Right, yeah, so one of these, we have 100 of these. And through the program, we have 6 counsellors, and soon more we need. We had to go through nearly 60 to 80 counsellors. This is so sad. We had to go through nearly 60 to 80 counsellors. What's in a person operates through to get one counsellor. Most of the counsellors that wanted to come and be counsellors for Shalom are just as screwed up as half of my fellas are. And they're the ones that's writing the report that other people read, that make decisions about what that person's written. I'm getting people sending psychiatrist reports, and the psych is just as screwed up as what the person's sitting in front of me, and that person's just written an assessment on that fella, and they expect me to read his stuff and go by what he's written. Oh my God, nah. Yeah, when they come to me, I stick all their psych reports in this big shredder thing I got. And I stick all their doctors, I put all their stuff through the shredder. I draw a line in the sand, and I'm not even going to hear a word that psych has to say. And I'm going to start again by scratch. Everybody to do with everybody, to do with anybody, to do with Shalom, we're all on the same page. Yes, I do have a psych. Dr. Willem van Wyk from the Marion Centre, actually a really good quality fella. He does all my psych work. Yes, I do have a good quality GP, Dr. Graham Hammond, who does all my medical. Yes, I do have teams of counsellors. I have everybody, all my own job network providers. I have everything all on the same page, north, south, east and west. I don't need help from anybody. I don't want help from anybody. I don't want nothing from you. I just want my Shire to support me, to work with me, not against me, to take the time to come out and have a yarn. So through the program, we identify this, and as they go through the program, what we're doing is we're doing this. That's a little bit big. That would be good if I could do it that quick. But what we're doing is we're doing, oh, that's a bit too generous. I'll show what I mean in a second. We do this, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. And then we might go over here, and then we might do this, and then we might do this. And then this is over the 3-month stage we're working, and we're working at doing restoration, and we're doing lots of counselling sessions with Mum and Dad, and then let's go back down to here and let's do this. What's in a person operates through a person. If a person believes a lie is a truth, that lie becomes their truth. It's truth that sets us free. Truth. You are not a weed. You are not a mistake. You are not to blame. You are good enough. Truth. Truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. You're not better off dead. There's light at the end of the tunnel. You're not worthless. You're not a piece of... You know what I'm saying? It's truth. So we come alongside them, but how we communicate to you, sometimes you've got to come from the north, sometimes you've got to come from the east, the south and the west. You've got to communicate truth to a person. So what we try to do every day is our fellas' life, we surround them with people that's going to make sure that they have a bad day every day. If we have 2 fellas in our house that don't like each other, we stick them in the same room. Serious? Yeah. There is no testosterone in my house. We are all chickens. If you meet my men are quality men. I will lay my life down for my men. There is no testosterone in my house in any way, shape or form, except for what comes from Elena. But I put them in the same room. And the reason I put them in the same room is I want to bring out the worst in them. And if I can bring out the worst in them, I can bring out the best in them. It's when everything that comes to the surface, it's how you handle it determines whether you change or stay the same. When it comes to the surface, we have counsellors that are part of our works crew that follow them all day, every day. When they send out in the work teams, we have counsellors. And they just pull them aside one by one. We send a truck out with 7 blokes. 1 counsellor, 6 workmen. 1 counsellor, 6 workmen. We have them down on the block, 50 blokes on the block. We're out at community services teams. We send out 50 blokes down the side of the road picking up rubbish, counselling. 7 days a week, counselling, just popping zits, clean them up, popping zits, clean them up, popping zits. Shame, guilt, resentment, bitterness, unforgiveness. All this stuff, they start confessing stuff they've never confessed before. We are a safe place. And as the light starts shining in the darkness, the light is shinier. Not only that, so we do a lot of foundational stuff as they're in the program, where we start cleaning them up, as I've just shown you. At the 3-month stage, what we want to do, we've taught them a lot of skills, how to communicate, how to respond, how to think, how to act. When you've come from a life of addiction, quickest way to fix the problem is to stick a pick in your arm, smoke a pipe, or pop a pill. But when you take away the person's coping mechanism, you've got to teach them the elementary basic skills that most of us take for granted. How to communicate, how to respond, how to act, how to express how they feel. How to know that when someone brings truth to you, they're not trying to condemn you or judge you. They're just saying, hey, what is really real for you is really real for me. We disciple them. At the 2-month stage, each one of our fellows have sat with a person. He says, hey, bro, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to be a boilermaker, a tiler, a painter, a carpenter, a tree lopper? And we've sat with lots of employers. Now employers don't just employ our fellas, they disciple our fellas. So at the 3-month stage, we try a young fella and he wants to be a boilermaker, so we'll put him in a boilermaker shop. And he 2 days a week, 100% of the income that he earns in that paid work goes to him. We use those funds to start getting him out of debt. We use those 100% of the income when we get him out of debt. If he tries with a boilermaker, doesn't want to be a boilermaker, then we want to put him with a carpenter. Then we put him with a landscaping team, and all of a sudden he loves plants and loves soil. He comes alive. When we put him in the workplace, we can tell from our communication from the employer, have they or haven't they put into practice what we've taught them within the house. We can also tell if the workplace has a positive or negative effect back in the house. The employer takes an active part in that person's employment. He just comes alongside them and makes sure he teams them up with somebody else who's not using drugs, who's not going to be a negative part or influence in their life. There's not going to put temptation that when he's having a bad day, that all of a sudden he's not going to offer him a shot or something. He's going to encourage him to think differently. That's going to ring us up, hey, this bloke's had a bad day, he needs some counselling. So he puts into practice what it is that he's learnt. They do that from 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. When it looks like they've got it, starts at the 2 days, we increase it from 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. When they get to stage 4, we move into 4 days a week, we move to a stage 3. Stage 2 is 2 days a week. Stage 1 is finding out what we got. Stage 2 is 2 days a week paid work. Works up to stage 3. Stage 3, that means they're working 4 days a week. They get 1 day out on the weekend where they can just do what they want, the keys to the car, mobile phone, and they can come and go as they please, and they put back into those who are coming behind them. It's discipleship. But we're alongside them as they're living life. We're living in the community. Take it out to Bullsbrook. Take it out to Esperance. Take it out into the middle of Leonora or Lakewood, but don't have it in the middle of Kalgoorlie. We don't want a rehab or a discipleship house here. You'll depress our property values. Your clients, we don't want those standard of people amongst us. Well, I'm sorry, most of you are those standard of people. Unreal. That's what we get. Take it out of Bullsbrook, they say. Take it somewhere else. We don't. Oh, my God. So basically it's discipleship. We just come alongside them. When they bring them in, we take 100% control of their life. At the stage 2, we give them 40% control, and then we increase them 50 to 60, then we move to stage 3, and now they've got 70%. And at stage 3, 1 day in, 1 day out, curfew 8 o'clock. Stage 4, they can come and go as they please. They're working with the employer 5 days a week. At stage 5, they move out of our house, and they're just living life. And the whole time, they've started becoming part of the community. At stage 2, part of the program. So the disciple, and if they do make a mistake, we can slot them back in stage 4 or stage 3 or stage 3 or 2, depending on where they are. We're a holistic rehabilitation centre. In this process, through this process, all they will ever pay all they will ever pay is $300 a week. And out of that $300 a week, $6,000 rents across all our properties. We rent all our properties. We service and maintain nearly 15, 16 vehicles, buses and trucks. And we have utilities and gas. We've got to feed 100 men. We've got to transport 120 men plus. Nearly 50 staff and volunteers who work for next to nothing. I have my staff who work 5 days a week and get paid 3 days a week. I have people like myself who have never taken income from Shalom in any way, shape or form. And I thank God that we started that way, because I have quality people. I have people here who are not here for the 42K or the 50K or the 60K or the 70K a year. I have people in my staff who are there because they care about my people. My staff are the most beautiful and exceptional and valued and respected staff members upon this planet. I love my staff. Every time I walk in the office, I just feel their presence in there. And I'm honoured and privileged to be in their company. They're there for people. They're there because they care. They're not there for money. Life is not about money. Life is about people. It's about family. It's about being part of the solution, not part of the problem. Straight out. Now, through this process, some of our fellows come in with 60, 70 grand in debt. For some fellows, you've got to go bankrupt, but I make those decisions. Some of them have to go bankrupt. Some of them, they have a 14K loan, or some of them have a 9K loan, and that's all. Some just have a 3K loan. But when we come in, we actually find out what we've got to deal with. Our finances service, they look after here. Our counselling service, they look after here. Residential care, look after here. Directions, look after here. And we put a bit of a plan together. For some, we ring up the financial organisations when they start that 2 days a week paid work. We actually start paying off those who they owe. Some of the organisations, we say, hey, he's on a medical certificate, he's trying to get his life on track. He's up to this stage in the program. All we can offer you is 10 cents in the dollar. We're trying to get this bloke's life on track. Will you work with us? And they say, no, we want 70% in the dollar. And we barter, and we have teams of staff that actually work at getting them debt-free. We have teams of counsellors that work at restoring not just the heart of the person, but the whole family structure. We also have teams of fellows in residential care that look after all the general issues, that we get every single one of our fellows. Every single one of our fellows leave debt-free. Every single one of our fellows leave with a licence. Every single one of our fellows will work and will have all their relationships restored with the families of those who will work with us, and they all are working full-time with the employer on the same page as the rehab by the time they leave our program. When we say a person first comes into the program, week's rent in advance to get $300 a week, we say $700. $700. Normally, you are the addict. You are the parents of the addict. You are a part of the problem. I say if you want to get in my house, I'll take 1 out of every 20. If I end up getting to the point where you make a thing, most of the time you won't talk with her, him, and I say, okay, sorry to call you a he. I say, okay, unless you come with your parents, you don't bother coming. So he's got to humble himself. Mum, I'm serious, I'm going to change, but they won't see me unless you come with me. But normally Mum and Dad won't have nothing to do with him. But oh, hang on a sec, I've never seen this before. He's actually ringing me. So I get Mum and Dad into the room and I actually show them what I've shown you in the program this morning. And I say, unless you've got $700, bro, you're not coming into my facility. Straight out. I've got a ship here with 130, 40 men. I'm 100% self-funded. I'm not on a smell of an oily rag. I don't ask anything from anybody, and I'm not asking anything from you here today. I want nothing from you, and this is not a financial pitch. Don't want nothing, don't need nothing, not interested. Not interested. These fellas are where they are because of their stupidity. I believe that they're the ones that should make the choices to pay for the rehabilitation to change their life. Agree or not, or disagree? Agree. So I say to the parents when they're sitting in the room, I say, hey, I show them the program. If you want to come into my program, it costs you $700. That's 2 weeks rent. Most fellas come in with no ID. I've got to get them 100 points of ID. Then I've got and Centrelink should pay for most of the rehab. But there's a process. By getting that $700, if this is the 3-month stage, this is the 6-month stage, this is the 9-month stage, that will get them to here. By the time they get to, this is a 4-month stage here. By the time they get to here, there'll be $1,000 in the black. I up $700. You pay 2 weeks rent in advance. When and if he makes, sorry to call you he, if he makes the stage 2 part of the program, he starts 2 days a week paid work. That first $700 he gets, once he pays me my grand, you're going to get your money back. We draw a line in the sand, starts from here. Parents cough up $700. to the 3-month stage of the program, starts pay work at the 4-month stage of the program. By the time he gets to here, we're paid out. We say to the family, you cover him here, we'll cover him here. Fair call? Fair call? Yeah. My effort's a fair call. I wrote it. It's got to be fair. And the income, once he gets past here, they pay that $700 back. We make that a priority. As soon as they get their first $700, whoever the family member is, from the day come in my house, we draw a line in the sand, and we're going to put the past behind us, and we're going to deal with what's on the lap. Your parents just lend you $700 to change your life as a priority. As soon as you get to stage 2, you pay that back. And we pay the mum and them back. And as we come alongside the program and they start making right choices, all the income that they earn, we just teach them how to make right choices, and through the whole lot of it, it's 100% self-funded. It doesn't need government stuff. It doesn't need $6.2 million for 30 beds or 60 beds. It doesn't need your $3 million. It doesn't need wasting blooming taxpayers' money. I don't know how many times I've got to tell them. Oh, it does my head in. They are where they are because of their choices. They are the ones that have got themselves into that pickle. They are the ones by their choices. Yes, they have faced circumstances that they didn't create. But it's through us facing the consequences of our choices that we learn to change and to do things differently. If we continue to spare a person from the consequences of their choices, they never learn. We teach them financial responsibility. We teach them as they start working. They buy their car. I had one fella, he bought himself a $2,000 car through the money earned in the program. And I'd look outside of the window and I'm seeing him look at this $2,000 car. $2,000. He worked for that car. I've seen the joy in his face as he looked at that car. I worked for that car. We don't use all the government stuff. We don't want nothing from nobody. Yes, we are a tax-deductible charity. Yes, we stewardise. Yes, we do have external auditors. But you won't find our stuff anywhere. If people get prompted to give, we use them for capital purchases or get us out of a pickle. And we're going to steward it wisely. But I don't believe it's okay for us to pay for somebody else's stupidity. At the moment, I drove past Reed Highway the other day and I'm seeing the changes taking place on that road. I'm seeing the parks and the gardens that's getting set up. I'm seeing the infrastructure that's getting set up in Western Australia. And I love my state. I love my country. I love Western Australia. I've been in lots of Asian countries and to come back to this. I believe it's us. We should be sowing this to making a community a better place. If people want to make wrong choices and use drugs and substances, yes, you may die. I deal with death every day. But we are where we are because of our choices. Now I'm going to show you the mud map of Shalom. Let's give it a load. Normally it won't load. Normally it gives me a bit of a pickle. Ooh, it's going to work. Ooh, it did work. Rightio. So this is my infrastructures of Shalom. So we're going to give you a bit of a look-see. Because I don't like writing and stuff and I can't read running writing, I do everything with little blocks. You've seen this, haven't you? That's how I like my little thingamajiggies. So these blocks here, you can see my red thing? Yep, there you go. So that one there, see here? These here, if you see from, this is delayed reaction. Yeah, those ones there are all my houses. This house here is actually one house. This one there, the 2 units for that red Park Street you've seen. They're the 3 main houses. So this house here has 36 men in it. This red here is me. I've raised up 7 me. Red means leadership. This is Park Street 4. They're all stage 5 fellas. This red one here, these green ones are my 1ICs. They run the house. So this house here, for example, is one house and it's run by this green, and these 2 ICs is orange, and everybody must go see the green or the orange. The green is teaching the orange what the red has taught the green. It's discipleship. I run a discipleship house, not a rehab. So this red one here, he runs the whole of the rehab on that house. There's 36 men across the property and has all these greens that are his 1ICs. Everybody in the house is not allowed to go to this red except for the greens. The red teaches the greens teaches the oranges. Discipleship. The blues go to these two. 1 house, 2 house, 3 house, small houses. This one here is Forest Street. This one has 26 houses. There's the red, there's the green. Everybody goes to the green, and the green goes to the red. So this red would disciple the 2 greens, teach the greens to run the houses. And same here, this is the Oasis. These are lots of nearly 50 men. And we have a couple of reds here. We have one here, another one here. One at one end of the property, another one at the other end of the property. It's discipleship. We disciple people to disciple people. I discipled 2, became 4. I discipled 4, became 7, because one didn't stick around. I decided several to become 14. I decided 14 become 20, because 4 didn't stick around. Discipling people to disciple people. My whole houses and all of my houses and all of my rehabs are run by men. You can take the prisoner out of prison. Trust me. This one over here. These are all the different roles. From here, my hoodoo gra's gone hoodoo gra. This is where I say, hey, help, Melon. There we go. These ones here are all the different roles within the office. So we have care, which does all the medical. The black is the job description of the thing. So here we have dentists, profile, medical appointments, medications, first aid, radiology, doctors, dentists. And then we have Jeff Walker. He's a counselling team, which is here. Jeff heads up all these counsellors. These are 2, 4, 7 counsellors. Over the left-hand side are all our volunteers that come in, who we are discipling. Soon they'll come over here. All the greens are the 1 ICs of the different departments. So that's the green clinical care. Marnie heads up clinical care. Karen Capehorn's the 2 IC. Counselling is Jeff. Brad Sarr is the 2 IC. Community service is Ben Watterson. These other 3, because we have 3 community service vehicles we send out, picking out rubbish and making a difference in the community. We have 50, 60 men picking out rubbish, cleaning schools. Because it's a school holiday at the moment, what we want to do as an organisation is we want to focus on helping those who help others. We want to service the community. We want to service those who... Everybody wants something for free. We want to find those who don't expect it. We want to do lots of random acts of kindness. So we send teams out in the community all day, every day. We have office manager, Melissa. Her job is to actually administer the instructions to certain staff as fellas get through certain stages of the program. When a fella first comes into the program, we get everybody working with children's check within the first 14 days. At the 2-month stage, we get everybody with white cards. At certain stages of the program, at the 4-week stage, we get all their BACORP and their VETA files. We gather all the information. We've got all the information by the time they've gone to the 3-month stage. At a certain stage of the program, stuff has to be issued depending on the funds that got in. So we have teams of people overseeing the furthering of the fellas through the program. So all of these, MyGov, for example, this one here, we get all our fellas, we get all their DCP, Centrelink, Medicare, superannuation, child support, and we get one MyGov number created for all the staff to fix all the fellas so they can just go through one place instead of having all these different. We get all their bank accounts from all the different banks they've had, we get them all shut, and we get them one bank account. ID services. This lady, poor lady, her job is to making sure that we get 100% of ID for every person that comes into the place. Finances, Bianca, her job is to get the white court and get them all 100% out of debt. She's the 1 IC, Michelle's the 2 IC. And here over the side over there is the volunteers for that area, which there isn't any at the moment. We have movements officers, which is Michael. He's the one that transports the fellas around, which is here. Residential care. We have residential care officers, which is here. These fellas live at each one of the properties and they do all the mail runs. The directions, so a whole heap of stuff. You can see the black is the actually job description, the green's the 1 IC, and the other one's the 2 IC. The leadership structure, this down here, which is at the moment it's currently changing. All the reds, as soon as this screen moves, it's going to freeze on me. Okay. So on the bottom, we have a whole heap of reds. You've seen the reds, how they're all across the top? Yeah, you've seen those reds there. I've just moved again. All these reds here, each one of these reds have green underneath them. I'm about to turn my 7 reds into 14 reds. But I'm losing 2 of my reds, so I'm only going to have 12, which means I have 12 of me. I'm just discipling men to disciple men to disciple men. Now I can sit here today, and if it wasn't through the discipleship of men, everything's running without me now. People said at the beginning, hey, it was about you. What happens if you get hit in the head, Mr. Lyndon James? Well, this isn't built about me. I've got men that I've discipled to sit up here doing what I'm doing. I've got men running houses, and this thing's working. Now, these things here is a Shalom. Here's the works administration. He takes all the phone calls. Walter's in charge of we started a business called Shalom Works, hardscapes, softscapes, paving team, and a Citron van. 100% of the income that this van here works goes on paying the staff wages of those who look after my fellows during the working day. It's paid work. Now you try running a business and running a rehabilitation centre and offering the same standard of community and professionalism and all that using a rehab. Mate. So 100% of the funds that go from the Shalom Works program goes to pay the staff wages of those who supervise them during the working day. And the only on wages are these greens. All these greens on wages and all these oranges are part of the program. All they do is get free rent. And then they come out. That one there has 7 people in the truck. This one has 7 people in that has 7 people in the truck. These ones down here is community service. These are 3 vehicles, 22-seater buses and a 7-seater truck. And we just send them out. We do churches, we do work at schools, sides of the road, we pick up rubbish, parks and gardens. We just go out and do whatever we can within the community. And we don't charge the community a cent. We don't do it for money, we do it because we care. Over here are my staff, if it moves that quick. All in there are my staff. I have 2 boards that's actually set over the top of me. I also pastor a church. As a Church of Christ church, and the reason they call it a Church of Christ church, it's not actually a denomination, it's an association. So I'm non-denominational, I'm a Christian man. I believe that God is God and I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, but I have no right pushing my faith down on anybody. If you want to see my faith, you will see it by the way that I live my life. But a Church of Christ church is an actual association, it's not a denomination. And the thing with the Churches of Christ, it just makes me accountable that I'm not actually creating some sort of a cult. And when a group of churches comes together, which has the absolutes, God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit, come together, when you're going to go to Bunnings to buy something, you have greater buying power, which means our insurances are less, our public liability is less, our worker comp is less, because we're coming together as a group, we're buying more, so therefore our discount is different. And I also have somebody keeping me accountable, John Hutchinson, who's a really good man that feeds into me and looks after my self-care. I also have a board who look after myself, the WSG, because our constitution doesn't allow us to pastor a church, so it's different than here. So basically that's the whole of the structure of Shalom, and every part of Shalom has different ones. We have the counsellors. Every one of our fellows are actually assigned to a counsellor. You'll see on here, when a fellow comes in, I'll enlarge one, I can't go too high because you're not allowed to see the names. So this is a lady who's, these are the people that are assigned to her. Each one of these means a different priority. A red is a high priority, orange is a low, medium priority, black is a standard normal. That's the date that's come in, and this is the issues that we're dealing with now. Each one of my counsellors are assigned a certain person to come alongside to deal with all the hard issues of the person. Then if we go to the finances services, finances is the same. Each person has a poppet. Blue means completed. Red means high priority, we're working at now. Orange means we've just started. That's completely finished. This person is completely done. All their finances 100% restored. We want them all blue. So we do that for every single person. We don't have one program. We have 120 plus programs because we have 120 plus men. And when you look at all that, we are 100% self-funded. It doesn't cost $2 million. It doesn't cost all that sort of stuff. We're sparing people from the consequences of their choices. We're sparing people the ability to learn how to change their life and make choices. It's not rocket science. We have common sense. So that's the finances. All those what you see there at the moment are men. So we have ones for finances, we have one for administration, we have one for ID services, we have one for medicals, the same with the medical. And we want to do Hep C checks, we want to do everything. So that's basically the end of all the presentation, I think, unless I've got any questions there that Melon hasn't. How is it funded? I've told you that, $300 a week. What happens if they can't afford it? Okay, what happens if they can't afford it? A lot of people, if they come in and they can't actually afford a rehab, if they can't afford it, normally they can. We very rarely, probably 2 out of every 100, can't afford rehab. A lot of parents, you are a part of the problem. And most of the time I'll find out where your financial circumstances are, and a lot of the time they want nothing to do with the individual. They haven't spoken to him for 6 to 12 to 18 months, and I say, well, unless you bring your mum and your dad with you, I'm not seeing you. And then he has to humble himself, bring out mum and dad and beg and squeal, and mum and dad's never seen that before, and said, unless you come, he's not going to see me. And mum and dad hate my guts. And they come in there, and he sits there, and they sit there. And then I rip into them. But when they hear how much of a prick I am, when they hear the way that I actually present and what it is we're about to undertake, and when they see that that person starts there, that's where it starts. If this is the beginning, if right here is the beginning, if you do this, then I do this. If you do this, then I do this. If you do this, then I do this. Long-term goal changes. But there's lots of short-term steps to the long-term goal. And unless everybody's on the same page, what one person does undoes what the next person does. And which is a frustration that a lot of people in this room. You're finding you're putting a lot of people in this stuff. You're finding these ones that are really over the world and they need that extra hand, and then you hand them over to somebody else and everything that you've done is just lost because the other person was on the same page. And that's why we're lucky. I've got everybody on the same page. I don't need nothing from you. I don't want nothing from you. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not asking you for nothing. I don't need anything from you. I love people. I care about people. I want to make sure. 26 years I stuck in a world that I didn't want to be in. I found a way out. My family's stuck. And we've got wheat with the chaff, and we've got to separate the wheat from the chaff, the ones who want to get out and the ones who don't. And we put them all in one basket. And we've got policies and procedures in our country and our nation today that need to change. And it starts with local government. Anyone any questions, please? You got to turn that mic on, bro.
I take it you're dead set against legalising any drugs?
I take it I'm dead set legalising any drugs. You take it pretty right, yeah. It's the dumbest thing you've ever done. If you decriminalise drugs, it's dumb, it's stupid. Definitely dumb. Not good. Not good at all, really bad. Bad.
What's the message that you would leave with the leaders of our community of Kalgoorlie and, you know, from Norseman through to Wiluna? What's the message you would leave us?
It's not the message that I leave yourself. Have a look in the audience at the moment. I feel it's sad, given the epidemic, and it is an epidemic. It is an epidemic. Seeing the audience that have been here today is really, really sad. Given the fact that there was no councillor or no mayor here, or nobody here for the first part of this seminar, is extremely shameful on the city of Kalgoorlie. And I think that the mayor and the councillors, of Kalgoorlie, you should be ashamed of yourselves. You should have been here at the beginning of this seminar. It's not okay. We have an epidemic on our hands, and if you were serious about your job, you would have your ass in this seat. A lot of mayors and a lot of councillors and a lot of other people, politicians, they come in for 10 minutes, they show their face to the camera, and they look good. As soon as the camera disappears, you find they go with the camera. It's pathetic. In my last 4.5 years, I didn't ask to run a rehab, but in my last 4.5 years, especially in my last 3 years since this council stuff's been happening, I've been exposed to a level of government that I found out a large part of why I was stuck where I was. And that is the policies and procedures of our land. That is the people who are in positions of power and influence who are making the decisions that actually govern our society. A lot of them in there for the wrong reasons. It's not okay. We have a problem. And at the moment you are only seeing 2% of the problem. Everybody is focusing on the addicts. But what about the mum and the dads? And the grandma and the grandpas and the brothers and sisters are coming up behind. Their unforgiveness and bitterness, and there's generations. We have a really, really big problem on our hands right now, really, really big problem. Just keep building prisons, keep building prisons, keep building child support services, that DCP, and let's just keep, well, somebody somewhere, get the right services in order and start like I have, put them in order, get some teamwork happening, and get a one mind, a one heart, a one purpose, a one vision, and as a team collectively, lots of what needs to be done to rehabilitate a person successfully can't be done because you've put policies and procedures in place that if a person doesn't do what your book says them to do, they will be sued. So everyone's covering their own bum. Meanwhile, families are being destroyed. It's not okay. Next question, please.
Just changing tack a little bit. How do you personally prevent yourself from getting burnt out? Like for a lot of people here, if they're, we might be dealing with one or two people in our lives, but you see suicide, is it your faith or are you superhuman or like
I'll be transparent with you, right? That I am unashamedly a Christian man. That every day I get on my knees, and my beautiful wife, she rises at 4 o'clock in the morning. She gets up in the morning, she goes into her house. She's a virtuous and capable wife. My wife is my princess. She's a jewel in my heart. She is special, and she really does matter to me. She gets up in the morning at 4 o'clock. She goes in and gets herself quickly ready. She makes herself some tea and some toast, gets the kids' stuff ready. She comes back. I get out, she jumps into bed, and she gives me a cuddle and gives me a tickle. If she doesn't make me up nicely, I wake up in a bad mood. She's been doing that for 15 years, so she learnt that a long time ago, and it's been a habit that stuck with her. And so she wakes me up nicely, and then I go up and go have my shower, and when I come back and have my shower, I walk in and I get on my knees, and by the time I get on my knees, all of a sudden this plate comes down with 2 crumpets and jam. And then this cup of tea actually appears before me. And then I suck face with my wife 3 times. And I say, "You're gorgeous, sweetie, I appreciate you." And then I close my eyes and I pray. And I say, "Dad, this is too hard for me. It's too hard for me. It's a big job. I didn't ask to run a rehab, but I found a way out. Now I'll start my day on my knees. I couldn't be where I am without him. I love him. He's ruined my life. He's ruined my life. God has ruined my life. I'm not a religious man, but he's ruined me. I think about him when I wake. I think about him when I sleep. I think about him when I go about my day. I just can't get him out of my bloody brain. And then I pray. I do my devos and I go about my day. And I take one day at a time because each day has enough trouble of its own. I don't bring my tomorrow into today. I can't change tomorrow, but I can change today. I don't bring my yesterday into today because I can't change yesterday. And I run my race with purpose in every step. And I do my best with my day. And at the end of the day, I get on my knees and I close my eyes and I say, "Dad, I'll try my best today, Dad. I deal with the crap that's in my heart. If I've offended my wife and I've hurt anybody, I do my best to go pick my problems up, ask their forgiveness, put my head on the pillow. When I wake up in the morning, there's a passage in Scripture that God says His mercy shines new every day, that He removes my sins as far as the east. And then I don't have another crack at it, and another crack at it, and another crack at it, and I just keep focusing on what's on my day. But that little square you've seen on the board, it keeps doubling on me. Seriously, it keeps doubling on me. And I've got a shire that's not listening to me. But I've got a program that's working, that's 100% self-funded. There's nothing like it anywhere in Australia. It's not about religion. Do you run BHP? Do you have Christians with you? Are you a City of the Swan? Do you have Christians with you? Are you... Christian, it's not about religion. Jam religion up your backside. It's about listening to truth. There's a voice inside you. Pick the rubbish up or leave it there. Take the trolley back or don't put the trolley back. Oh my God. I'm trying my best. How do I handle it? I get on my knees and I love my wife. My wife supports me, but yeah, I do burn out. She sees me sometimes curled up in a ball, cuddled in my pillow, crying at night. This is too big for me. Next question, please.
One more question.
Thank you.
Is it working? Hey, Pete. Hey, up here. Is it working? Yeah.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, what's your success rate?
See, okay, let's go down that road. People say, what's your success rate, right?
Or how do you...
If I could ask myself, there's 1,000 things I could do with no money, what would they be? Pay my staff some wages would be good. If somebody wants to come and spend the time actually doing a study and finding out what your success rate would be, and they want to pay some wages to someone to do that, hey, by all means, more than welcome. So we've been contacted by Curtin University, the Dean of Curtin University, and the professors, and they're all coming out next month, and they're going to do a completely free thing on what our success rate is. But no, I wouldn't clap. I wouldn't clap at that. Who gives a flying flop of what my success rate is? I really couldn't care. But we did it a while back because someone asked the question. We got an 80% plus success rate based on the studies that we had. But who really cares what the success rate is? And how do you find success? How do you define it? Am I costing you any money? Am I wanting anything from you? I've had blokes who come in my house that lasted 3 months and not used drugs. I've had blokes come into my house that are actually living free from the interest of drugs and substances. How do we define success at what level? So the Curtin University, the smart people are going to come in and they're going to say, okay, what sort of impact, Peter, do you have on just the person? What sort of impact are you having not just on the person's family? What sort of impact are you having on the society as a whole and in the workplace? What impact are you having on the... And I'll let the smart people actually do all that and study all that. But me, I don't really give a flying flopper. As long as I've changed one person, I'm happy. I've got nothing to prove to you. I don't care if you like me. I want nothing from you. You know, nothing. Nothing. Zilch. I don't want nothing from you. I get a lot of people commenting on Facebook, why don't you do it for women? Oh man, I'm trying my best with what I got. There's only one of me for Struzen for crying out loud. What? And everyone wants me to prove something. Man, I'm not wanting nothing from nobody. I'm just trying to help somebody. Somebody else have a crack at doing it as well. And I tell you what, and if any person wants to have a crack at what we're doing, please, I love your input. I'd love it if you would take the time to come over to Shalom, have a look at the program, have a look at this, what you've just seen here today, have a look at what we're doing, and if you can see somewhere where I'm not doing it right, please show me so I can do it better. I'm doing what I have with what I have. I'm doing the best with nothing. I have no money. I'm doing everything with nothing. I'm trying my best. Don't stick a knife on me, pat me on the back and encourage me and come and give me a hand. Oh, the naysayers want to sit there from a distance. It does my blooming head in. Do you want to have a chat about something, sweetie?
Thank you. You're the first person I've heard in some sort of authority, other than a parent, talk about actions and consequences. What is it about our society where we have this fundamental disconnect between people's actions and consequences, and it doesn't seem to matter whether we're talking about little kids or big kids using drugs, or people running companies, or people running charities and running away with money, or people running away with other people's spouses or whatever. But there's this fundamental disconnect between actions and consequences that nobody ever talks about.
I've got a bloke in my house, right? I've had a few in my house. One bloke was 20 years. He's been in prison. And this bloke's life... And they put a law in place now that if you get caught driving over a non-stop or failing stops, automatic jail. Now I know, and I'd lay my life down for this person, that he shouldn't have got sent back to jail, but we put a law in place that if a person gets caught in a high-speed chase and they fail to stop, then that's an automatically 3 months jail. This bloke shouldn't have went to jail. He didn't deserve jail. His life, I know, had changed, yet they put him back in the jail. And after 25 years of prison, this bloke, he's seen his dad shoot this bloke and drop him in a hole as a 6-year-old. And this bloke, life had completely 180'd. He'd started an apprenticeship as a plumber, second year in apprenticeship, and then they put him back into prison because the law said he had to go back to prison. The whole idea is to rehabilitate a person. The whole idea is to teach a person to change. I've got another bloke at the moment who's facing courts because he had a head-on with an ambulance officer. He had a head-on with an ambulance officer, and he's probably going to go to jail. But this man's life has changed. This man is taking ownership. He is so sorry. He is so sorry for what he's done. This man does have a wife. He does have children. He's made a mistake, and his mistake has hurt another family. He's holding his head up high. He's going to face court, and they're probably going to send him to jail. But he shouldn't be going to jail. He shouldn't. It's going to actually work against all the progress that he's made to get him to where he is today. This man does not belong in jail, but our law says put him in jail. It's all about discipling. It's about a person learning. It's about cause and effect. When fellas walk through my program, I expect them to stuff up. I expect them to make mistakes, and when they do, we're alongside them. If they learn from the mistake that they've made, I'll pull them back. I might not stick them right to the beginning. I might put them in stage 2 or stage 3. But as long as they learn to do it right, that's all we want is for them to learn. We've got to disciple. It's discipleship. It's discipleship. The whole idea is learning, teaching us to be the best us we can be. Teaching us that when you make a wrong choice, there is always a consequence. You spare him the first time. You spare him the second time. It's sad to watch your son go bankrupt. I've got 2 sons. I want the best for my sons. I want nothing but the best. But if my son has to suffer some hurt and to pain to bring out the best in him, then so be it. Next question, please.
Hello.
Hey, sir.
Well, anyway, I work in like the pharmacy industry, and I was just wondering, because you see a lot of people obviously on prescription medication or over-the-counter medicine, and they're addicted to it, and also come in buying fit packs and also the drug kits and trying to buy detox things. I was just wondering, I guess your opinion on the industry and how as like pharmacists, how we can help support people, and what sort of conversations can we have in the 5 minutes that we...
Unfortunately, as a pharmacist, you're pretty well screwed. So am I allowed to say it like that? Well, basically, it's like walking with a prescription. It's like, oh, do I have to? But you're basically... but I know what you're saying. It's sad. You're seeing some people that you're seeing death. You're seeing a person slowly die. You're having to do something that you just know inside you just doesn't fit. You're being forced to be part of a system, you know, it just doesn't sit right within you. And it saddens you, and it doesn't make a difference, and you don't know how. And I really feel for you. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I do what I do. I really care about people. I mean, even prison systems now is a joke. I mean, you can order steak and vending machines and all this sort of stuff. I mean, if you take away the smokes, you're going to jump up and down. No, you give me a prison. Fellas and Acacia and that, you give me a prison, I'll turn that bloody prison around. I'm going to be the biggest prick you ever met in your life. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. You've got to be strict. But you can't be strict because you get sued. It's not tough love, it's cause and effect, sweetie. It's just common sense. We've got to put common sense back on the table. Common sense. It's just common sense. But everybody's scared of being sued over tripping over that stairwell that had a loose bit of rubber. Does anybody else have a question?
No, it's all right. Change mine. Don't ask the question now.
You can ask the question.
That's all right. You probably already half answered it anyway, so that's all right.
I'll finish answering. You've got the mic now. Go over.
Well, it's not really... All right, the whole thing is I asked you before about prevention. Okay, I get that. And what have you, and I've seen your business plan in there. You call it discipling. My military career says that's how the army works. So I get that plan, and I get the fact that we have Centrelink that pays for what you do with money and what have you, and you're not asking anything. I would ask you, if you had one person, say the Mayor of the City of Kalgoorlie Boulder or the local Member of Parliament, ask them what you want them to do and how you would support them and help them implement that into the goldfields.
What I would like, if this, let's just say this, right, I'm going to turn this up so I can see this. I've been exposed to something. I really appreciate that if this can actually be filmed, and I would like a copy of what I'm about to say. But I would like an opportunity, if this is the Mayor, and if this is the CEO who backs the Mayor, and if this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I would challenge the mayor, and I would challenge the CEO of this town or any town to get legit, to get all one mind, of one heart, of one purpose, to get them to serve one another. I've been exposed to levels of politics and the way councillors have to communicate to bring about a certain outcome, the way they have to fight for an oval or for a bridge or for a funding for something. I've been exposed to something, and all these alliances, these two are doing it this way and these three are doing it this way, and when you get in there, there's I'm not saying this is the case here, so please don't read words, but these are the dirty, dodgy ones that's doing it for wrong motives, and a person with all good intention wants to come in and make a part of the difference, and then they come in and all of a sudden they learn they've got to actually watch out who they meet with in public. I'm too scared to meet them at the tailor's restaurant, or I might too scared to meet them outside in case somebody else thinks. And they've got to learn to navigate politics. They've got to learn to navigate how they communicate in case they get seen in public. And so bit by bit they just roll down over to here, and they conform to the majority of the yucky stuff, because that's the only way that they're going to get it achieved. We have a big problem, and it doesn't just affect here, because that's local. And then we go the next level up, the next level up. Where do we start? I started myself with Shalom House. I have everybody on the same page. That's why what we're doing is actually working. We take one out of every 20. Out of every 20 we bring in, we lose every 5. That's why currently I have nearly 120 men. Imagine if I was given a shot. If you chucked me as CEO of your thing, I'm being serious. You chuck me as CEO of your place and you chuck me mayor, I want honesty. I want transparency. I want accountability. I want truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I want people on the table who are there for the best interest of the community. If you are a councillor, you have been elected by the people to serve the people, to stand up for the people, regardless of the cost to yourself. And if you are a man who has gone to war, you will lay down your life for those you serve. If you are a person who has been stood up for any shire, you are there to stand up for what is true, what is right, regardless of the cost to yourself. I have been caught in a legal pickle for the last 4 years, and not one single councillor publicly in front of a camera or in front of anybody stand up and say, hey, what the Swan is doing on my behalf right now, not speaking openly, is wrong, because they get threatened to take into the standards committee. There's muzzles.
Well, having some level of government experience, and having done that, well, thank you, having had some level of government experience and what have you, having said and done that, and having tried really, really hard and actually put a policy together, a safer community policy that we went to the last state election with, and having done that and having tried that and put your hand on your heart and say you'll do it, how would you support that person? Because I know when I did it, and I know when I speak now, there are more naysayers, as you call them out there, who have vested interest that will turn around and say, Grillsy, you're too hard to work with, you're this and that and the other because you're saying what I'm saying. But when you put your hand up for somebody to do that, how would you, coming here and saying that you're, the mayor doesn't come here, people don't come here, how would you help someone do that? How would you...
See what I've seen you right now? I love that.
Yeah, well, I'm passionate.
I want that.
You bet. But how do you help that happen? Because I've tried it, I've bashed my head against it.
I want to partner with people like you.
Well, hey, I'm your man if you want to do it, but...
That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it at the moment. I'm trying to find councillors within my city that will stand up, because if we can get a group of 15 people, if we can clean up, we are for a community. We are for a community, but we're all being programmed differently. We all think differently, speak differently, act together, but we've got to work together. I want to be around people like you.
Well, that's why I'm here today, and I'm here today to do that, but it's going to be hard, I tell you, and you've got to have somebody to back it, because I'm sick of trying to do it on my own and getting over.
One person going to get shot, next person going to get shot, next person going to get shot, but one day one of them's going to get through. There's a movie called what's it called? Hacksaw Ridge. Who's seen Hacksaw Ridge? Yeah. I want to be that man.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm unemployed now, and I'm looking for a job, so I'm your man.
I got no money for you. See, to come down to West One and be a full-time volunteer for us. Why's my screen gone blank? My rent, I haven't paid my rent in the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, and that's what I'm up against at the moment. That's why I sat silent for 2 years. I had counsellors saying they were speaking up on my behalf, behind the scenes, and I just had to keep pushing and pushing, still pushing. That's why nobody likes me now within the city of Swan. They won't even answer my phone calls. They won't talk to them. They won't do squat. Hey? Yeah, but that's all right. I'm not giving up. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Oh.
Setting up Shalom, what did you have to go through council courses and what you hand up and ask and people just responded?
Start all over again. Didn't hear what you said.
So when you first started up with Shalom, did you have to go through courses or through permits, etc., etc.?
No, I wrote the program by accident. I just disciple men.
Yeah.
What I expect is going to come up soon is that at the moment I have one case in the Supreme Court. I have 2 or 3 in the State Administrative Tribunal. I have another one on the Shire's desk, and I have another one about to go on the Shire's desk. But it's a really long story to actually unpack here.
Yeah.
You have to have a look on the history of it. I'm up against lots of legal stuff. Lots and lots of legal. I started by accident. I didn't mean to start a rehab. I just discipled men. Yes. But when I do get through the process and say, yes, you are legal, they're going to hit me with the health department. They're going to hit me with this and hit me with this. They're going to hit me with all these. And I'm going to be hit with a whole heap of stuff. I can see it coming. But that's okay. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. No flies can land on me. I put literally my whole life out in the public eye. If you want to have a look on Facebook, warts and all, I don't care what anyone thinks of me. But nothing can land on me, nothing. Yes. I mean, and I'm prepared to actually get shot down and die and lose everything I own for what I'm standing up for. I'm quite happy. Yes. You know, I've got a lot of my hands coming my way. I can feel it, but that's okay. Bring it on. Next question, please.
Is that on? Yeah. From where you come from, like say...
Sorry, one sec. I love that passion. I like that. It's good.
Say parents that have got to a stage where they've lost the love for their kids, or you didn't have love for other people. You were sort of in prison and you never got loved enough that you could show. So where's this love coming from? Like you said you're going to share a bit tomorrow about that experience you had in your life.
I got nuked.
Nuked. That's nuked. Here?
I got nuked. I'll show you tomorrow.
All right. Where's that? Here?
I don't know where that is.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been told.
Joseph. Okay.
Oh, Graham will tell you later on where I'm going to get nuked. But I'm going to tell you how I got nuked.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but he'll tell you shortly. I'll share all that tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Any other questions, please, in regards to today's seminar? Wait to get a mic. When you look at it, right, I don't know why this screen's not working. Yes, please, I'd really appreciate that. Ask for it to be turned off. Where do you what?
Where do you draw the line? Family member keeps going back.
70 times 7, bro. Where they draw the line, you set your boundaries. You don't let them in your home. You set your boundaries. You just keep loving on them. If you have a son or a daughter caught up in addiction, you never give up on them. You never judge them. You never criticise them. But you just keep loving on them. You just keep loving on them, keep loving on them, keep loving on them. But you set your boundaries. You don't let them stay in your house overnight. You just set your boundaries. You don't give them cash. You take them to Hungry Jack's, but you never give up on them. Never give up on them. Guard your heart. Every time you know that you're going to come into their presence, guard your heart. Know they're going to spit out a whole heap of stuff. Every phone call, just guard your heart. Think, okay, they're going to say some bad stuff here. And let them spit it out. Don't process the words. Don't let the words go in your brain. Don't let it go in here. And just love on them and love on them and love on them and love on them. And just keep loving on them. Picture they've got cancer. They're dying. Love them while you got them. Love them while you got them. 77 times 7 a day and just keep going. Another question?
Yeah. Sorry, I've probably asked plenty of questions, but when we talk about young people and we see where we head in society, and you're talking about the end goal when we get down, when things are going too far, where does things like conscription with young people to put them back on a right course and help at an early age. Is there somewhere in your thoughts of that idea?
I actually haven't had time to process that, and if I have to do that on the run. But again, it's like with anything, and I'm not trying to blow wind up my back end or be something that I'm not. I'm not saying that I'm the answer to everything, but I know that if you stuck me in a room and just put them welders or them pieces, my head, the way that my head works, I'm pretty good at working stuff out. If you've seen even my staff and the way that I found all my men are growing faster than my staff, and I shut my whole operations down every Monday, and I got all my staff and all my residents in this room, and I calibrate them. I get them all on and as a group, we move forward as a group. If you put me in a room, like all of a sudden, and showed me the pieces that I had to work with, and I got to know the pieces, then I could move them all around. Like what I found when I started, Shalom, I got given this circle. Hang on, let's put it on the pop that you can see it. So what happened was with Shalom, kids shirts sample. So all of a sudden I got 7 fellas. Can you see that up on the board? Yep. So I got 7 fellas, and I worked out, and I moved this one here, move this one here. You put me into something. This is one my brain, now it works. And then all of a sudden, where'd that come from? Struth. And then I've got to move it around because it wasn't working. That one there, yeah, yeah. Nah, there's a bit of dust in there. Yeah, that works. And then all of a sudden, Struth, where'd that come from? And then I got it moved it around, and I identified a person's strength. I delegated them and put them in their strength, and I helped them grow in their weakness. And all of a sudden, I had a system that started going like this, and it went good for a bit. And then all of a sudden, someone took away him. No, it's my main keen player. So now what do I do? Then I had to rethink about things, and I had to move it around again. And it's like anything. If you stick myself in an organisation, all my own books, do all my business stuff. I don't use tax agents. I do a whole heap of stuff. It's the way my brother, I just look at stuff. If you was to stick me in what you're saying, and I was to work in there, I reckon I could have a bit of insight. Then I'd be qualified. At the moment, I'm not actually qualified to give you the answer that you want. And I think you understand what I said. Now, if I was to go back over to this picture that I drew, this picture is our society. This picture is our society. This is a whole. So I'm in a room, and I'm with 7 fellas, and I've got a rehab working, and I know that it's working. I'm doing everything with nothing. And I really thank God for actually doing everything with nothing, because the quality of the staff and the volunteers that I have in my house, I've got exceptionally quality people in my organisation, all who have really beautiful hearts. They're there because they care about people, not because of their wage packet. Which, when you have that in a mix, helping people, what a beautiful atmosphere. My women, oh my God, they're just beautiful. My staff are the heartbeat of Shalom. Well, God's the heartbeat, but they're the heartbeat of Shalom. Now, when you look at the government and everything, everybody's trying their best. And I'm not saying that everybody is shonky. Or the mayor of City of Swan, or this Kalgoorlie, or the mayor of Boulder, or the council. I don't want to have a crack at anybody and say anybody's dodgy. Please, if you felt that way, with all my heart, I want to say I'm sorry. I don't want to disrespect you. I don't want to speak bad of the rulers of our day. I don't want to dishonour anybody. I don't want to belittle anybody. I don't want to bring shame or guilt on anybody. I don't want to do any of that to anyone. I just want to try and fix the problem. All I know is that we have a system is like this. Here. Just bound up in this big, yeah. You know what I mean? But imagine if we could actually start with a shire. And we can get one shire to lead. Could have been. You've been branded meth capital. You've been branded. Where are all your councillors? Where are they? Where are they? Where is the mayor and the councillors of Kalgoorlie? Given that you've just been branded the meth capital, where are they? They are not in this room. Not one took the time to come here today. Which says a lot. It's not okay? Hands up who thinks it's not okay. Everybody in the building. If they cared, they would be here. Sack the bloody lot of them. Start again.
Too busy feathering your own nest.
Sacked a lot of them and start again. Sacked a lot of them and start again. Sacked a lot of them and start again. Chuck that on GWN.
This room, I did get sacked.
Yeah, I don't care. Hey, sack me, sue me, take everything I own. Take everything I own. I've got the greatest gift in the world. Every day I get to wake up next to my wife. Take the lot, I don't care. My earth in 27 years, mate, sleep with prostitutes. I don't deserve that woman. She's my princess, man. Straight out. Anybody got any other questions? We're about to close. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a really good job.
Yeah, I'm going to bloom and crack at it. Thank you. On the seventh day, God created the apple product, then he rested. If you want to hear how I got nuked, I'm going to hand over to Graham now, and then I'm going to shut up. But I really do on it. And can I just say one more thing? If you don't come from a faith background, and I want to say to you, and I mean this with every molecule of my being, if you don't come from a faith background, or if you've had religion pushed down your throat, or if you've been forced to go to church as a child, and you felt that I've pushed religion on you or disrespected you in that way, in any way, shape or form today, I want to say I'm sorry. I am really, my heart, I'm sorry. I don't want to be that to you. I don't want to lure you in a room and push religion down your throat. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. So please forgive me if I've made you feel uncomfortable. Please forgive me if I've pushed religion. Please forgive me if I've said any words along that fat that caught you any hurt in your heart in any way, shape or form. I really am sorry, and I thank you for your time.
One, two, three. Yep. We got one that works. That's good. Sometimes. Just a couple of things. Firstly, tomorrow, Peter and the team will be at Church West at 93 Hannon Street, and that's at 9:30 tomorrow. As a former deputy mayor of the city, I'd have to agree that it's a shame there wasn't some councillors at least here. I did get a phone call earlier today from the mayor saying that something had come up. He had intended to be here. But what I can say is this: both the mayor and the CEO have indicated very, very clearly that they're very much in favour of the work that's being done by Peter and his team, and are very interested to see what can be done locally on that basis. And we'll see. We're going to have work to do, mate. There's no doubt about it. In closing, to Amanda, to Melina and Peter, thank you very much for making the time available to come to Kalgoorlie. I know it's not the first time, not the last, well, it's not the first time you've been here, but it won't be the last time you're here either. And we anticipate that there will be quite a bit of movement locally to see something along the lines of Shalom House established in Kalgoorlie, addressing the issue of drugs, which has been identified by others, and this community really wanting to do something about it. So can you put your hands together for that team? And finally, those of you who made a donation, thank you, and those that intend to, I thank you as well. Have safe travel home. Thank you. Hang on. Oh, the tough love seminar sheets. Can you please fill them out and leave them on the desk out the front so that they can collect them? Right.